And we're back. Welcome to the last round of Artist Talks. Give it up for, we can give ourselves a round of applause. Woo! Big woo energy. Next up, we're going to hear from three artists who put the learning in deep learning. Pause for laughter. Sorry. Next up, we got Sabela Grimes. Based at USC. Yeah, we can woo. We can keep the woos going, y'all. That's right. Keep the woos going. Grimes is a transmedia storyteller, sonic archivist, movement composer with specialty in improvisational systems and collaboration at the heart of his creative practice. Please give a warm round of emphatic applause, Sabela Grimes.
Thank you, Sydney. Peace, good people. When he said keep the woos going, did anyone here, can you woo, woo, woo? Just a little culture check. Can you woo? No, I'm not asking you to woo. I'm saying, did you hear that song in your head? No? Okay, then let's woo together. Did you hear it? Hear you woo, woo, woo. Okay, look, get on your little streaming situations and just give yourself that gift. Okay. I am Sabela Grimes. Can I read this little blurb before I get into just straight freestyling this? What's really beautiful about this is that you can't have in your bio that improvisational systems are at the core of what you do and then just not improvise, right? So anyway, but I'm going to read this because I wrote it and I like it. I am Sabela Grimes, and this also, it keeps me in my little funky 5 minutes. All right, here we go. I'm Sabela Grimes. You heard about the transmedia storyteller, all that type of stuff. So I want y'all to know that my work, this is what I learned in grad school. You're supposed to call what you do your work. It merges Black cultural traditions, speculative practice, and speculative science, and improvisation across performance, sound, and visual media. I delightfully and at times apprehensively engage in a multimodal experimental practice rooted in Black sound traditions, movement practices, costume design, and technology. I use the art and practice of sampling not just as a tool, but as a cultural and symbolic act, blending kinetic, visual, and sonic media to build systems of meaning. With each project, I invest in the poetics of assemblage, the magic of mutability, and the mastery of misuse. My work is intentional, exploratory, theoretical, tactile, and deeply situated in both contemporary and historical creative practices. Most of all, it's my favorite excuse to simply share time, space, breath, and sweat with some good people. These ways that I be, we be, these things that I do, that we do, have always inhabited the intersections of dance and technology. Dance as technology. I engage with artificial intelligence through a deep understanding of analog intelligence. I believe these technologies I use expand the sensory and conceptual experience of performance. That includes, I'm gonna cut. Can I remix this real quick? Yes. Bet. My driving intention is to have everything working or not working together. Be in conversation with each other, even if arguments are peppered throughout. The technology supports that integration and helps create layered, often unpredictable experiences, offering new ways for dancers, choreographers, movers, makers, audience folk to think about the creative process. And this is, I think I'm gonna detour now and just, can I share a little bit about process with you all? Sure. Bet. So a little history. Several years ago, actually a long time ago, I'm super grown, y'all. I was born in the 1900s. I was talking, my bad. These things had just come out, these iPads. And I happened to be talking to an amazing musician and composer named Michael Wall. And just in my conversation with Michael, he was like, oh, my wife got me an iPad. You should get one, I really think, ... So I got an iPad, and I started doing sound design on this thing. It was so portable. And when I tell you I would not learn the proper way to use the apps, And this is why I have so many different projects under my belt. Side note, if you all love David Roussev's work, check out his new work. I'm doing the music for that. Little plug, damn, just give you a little 5-minute talk. And that's an extension of what I used to do on tour with Rennie Harris Pure Movement. So we'd be on tour, we'd be doing Roman Jewels or what have you, and in the hotel, I had a laptop and I started just like really thinking about ways to misuse the technology. And this is an extension of the many ways, especially in what we now frame as hip hop culture, but really in a dimensional way we misuse. We wouldn't have a turntable that was the if people weren't misusing this technology. Yes? Yeah. Cool. And now let's talk about the really intentional and spirit work of this technology. Yes? Yes. Right? So when you see I was looking at Chamel's shirt, like when you see a Veve, that's a technology, right? You see these symbols, these are technologies. So when it comes to choreographic sort of process or what people consider choreographic thinking, part of what I believe is there's the material and the immaterial. Right? So how do we create conditions? This is how I think about a dance-making process. How do I, people call them movement scores, but I really think about movement meditations, like what are we meditating on? And it's really about presence and beingness. Yes? Yes. Cool, cool, cool. So this is this lovely, lovely, amazing human being, Imani, who was part of Ladies of Hip Hop. Shout out to Melanie. We came here a couple years ago. Let's go. And so during the rehearsal process, they're wearing the costumes that me and Kia McCormick designed. The design itself deals with one of the concepts, which is we're really thinking about string theory. So there's another section of the work that's about string theory, and there's two performers that are based off the Nomo, the Dogon Nomo, the twins, and they do these string theory duets. But this one is a thicker string, and we're really thinking about time in that way. And so the technology of the dress informs how the body's moving. You'll see a little bit of it. And if you came in 2023 to see it here on the Ted Sean stage, you would have seen them moving in and out of these strings, in and out of time, right? So it looks like we've made dance, but the dancing is in relationship to these ideas. In this, we have these really amazing, beautiful black women. And part of the choreography isn't to go, hey, do this, lift your leg, do, oh my God, like to really make the body express or control the body in a certain way, but to really ask these black women about their interior. So this is longer than what you're gonna see, and as they're going through, we're giving them prompts, and so this is the connection to large language models like a ChatGPT, a Claude, or what have you, because choreographers have been giving prompts, right? So we're giving them these prompts to think about who they are and who they're with and their beingness. And then I believe that this is a conjuring. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to take this information and we're going to conjure the ancestors out of this open source AI generative model called Stable Diffusion Deform. And so can I show you a little bit? So just take this in, cool. So you don't hear it, but we're asking questions. And when I say we, my partner and I work together, Mina Muragason. And so she's thinking. So this is like, this energy is what you felt on the Ted Sean stage. Do you follow me? It's not just about producing a lot of kinetic movement, right? So just remember that little moment. Boom. So you'll see we bring it in there and we conjure the ancestors. Right, and the unborn. Boom, we'll get to that in a minute. Can I take it back? And we rewind, selector, come again. All right, check this out. So you're gonna have to give me a time check, fam, because you know I'll be freestyle Freddy. Okay, back. Cool, so we see this transition, right? And this is also like so important when it comes to choreography. For me, is to really think about the in-between, the transitions in and out of a sense of how I'm feeling right now, the transition in from a movement idea into another one. So there's really intentional personal, or within the character, or within the design of the idea, the concept. And this piece, forgive me for not letting you know, this is called Parable of Portals. It's a modular piece. It's an obnoxious love letter to Octavia E. Butler. It comes out of me having an attitude 10 years after her passing. There wasn't enough dance celebrating Octavia Butler, and I was like, well, bet. She said, I'm writing myself in, and I, meaning Sabela, have kinetic vision, right? She said she had radio imagination. I have kinetic vision. I'm going to write myself in. And I'm just going to share obnoxiously how much I love this woman and how much she's impacted my work as a dancer and dance maker. Cool. So we have this, but what I want you to notice now is the motion. Oops, sorry about that, y'all. So with Stable Diffusion Deforum, you can control the motion parameters. So in the same ways that I'm in the studio and we're thinking about path making space, there's a mathematical equivalent that I take from the dancers, that I take from the movers, that I take from the music that I compose, and really think about how I'm going to do the math for the motion of those visuals. You follow me? Yeah, say word. Okay, so we're going to move to this last thing because I only have a minute left. Sydney's looking at me like super gangster right now. The last, that's called projection. I just put it on you, right? It's not me. I'm not going over 5 minutes. So this, very similar off of the motion, was us, how do we embed the dancers into the visual aesthetic, the world building. And these are all amazing. Some of them just graduated dancers from USC Gloria Kaufman School of Dance. We the best. And so I give them prompts. We have a conversation about what they can't see. Like, they haven't seen these visuals yet. So gives me an opportunity to at least verbally give them an idea of the worlds, verbally, and then share passages from Octavia's Parable series, share some of the Earthseed doctrine, for them to kind of go, oh, okay, and then begin to move, right? And then from their movement that we captured in a couple different places, we bring that into these worlds, and you're seeing 4 different things, but these are actually buildings. So this is a large-scale projection. And so this is on one building, that's on another building, and this is along another building at USC. So it's outdoors with the live performance, with myself as Quantum in this dope-ass costume, with another dancer with a 6-foot balloon on her head. It gets crazy in them streets, y'all. Anyway, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you all allowing me just to share just a little nugget of what I do. And shout out to you all for bringing me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Peace.
No, you're good. You're good. Oh, here, I'm sorry, I'm crowding you out.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Yes, I will come over here. Okay. D. Sabela Grimes bringing the ruckus and the call and response. Give me another round of applause, please, for Sabela. Also, y'all, Sabela's website is kind of the best, actually. What's your URL again? dsabelagrimes.com, little shout out. So real quick before, y'all are, oh wow, okay, I should talk less. So briefly, please welcome to the stage, Memo Atken and Katie Peyton Hofstadter. Hey, great, okay. So very, very, very briefly, they are South California-based interdisciplinary artists, researchers, and collaborators whose work investigates the entanglements of technology, consciousness, embodiment, and culture. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'll give this to you while I set up.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Do you want me to hold it?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Hi. We're Memo Atken and Katie Peyton Hofstadter, and we're here presenting our work, Superradiance, in the Dancing the Algorithm exhibition right around the corner here. And we also performed it at the opening of the Doris Duke Theater on Wednesday night. And we're so grateful to Kate and Pam for including us in these programs. And we want to say thank you again for the team here at Jacob's Pillow for making this happen. And now we'll spend a few minutes talking about where each of us come from, and then we'll go a bit deeper into Superradiance.
Hi everyone, I'm Memo. I am a new media artist, and dance is not necessarily central to my practice, but the human body is. Movement, embodiment, embodied knowledge is very much integral to my practice. And actually, if I go a little bit deeper, I had this realization over 10 years ago that actually all of my work is about waves and God, and that somehow quantum mechanics unified the two. And when I look back, I think with the term waves, I was referring to the patterns in nature which we humans have managed to recognize, deconstruct, and formalize into theories and equations that we somehow even find elegant or beautiful. And with the term God, I was referring to those aspects of nature which we have yet to understand, and the lengths that we go to try and make sense of them and our experiences in the world. And with the term quantum mechanics, I was referring to the fringes of human knowledge which we empirically know to be accurate and we can understand through the abstract language of mathematics, but we're not yet able to fully comprehend on a deeper level. So within this backdrop, in my work, I investigate the tensions between technology, ecology, science, and spirituality. I draw connections between intelligence in nature, intelligence in machines, perception, consciousness, neuroscience, and philosophies of spirituality, ritual, and religion. I'm inspired by nature, or rather the nature of nature, the fundamental forces and underlying processes that shape everything that happens around and inside us. When I look at a flower, I see the nuclear fusion in the heart of the sun, the photons scattering in the atmosphere to create a crimson sky, the photosynthesis that fuels all of life on Earth, the fluid dynamics driving the wind and the waves crashing onto the shore, and the complex ecosystems they cultivate through a symbiotic spread of seeds. I study these processes that shape our world, and I develop systems that abstract behavior. And I'm fascinated by our capacity to dig deeper and discover and learn more about the poetry of nature. On the more boring side, I write code. That's basically what I do. I write code to create speculative simulations and data dramatizations. I write code to create moving images, experimental animations, and sounds, to control, to work with musicians. I collaborate with choreographers. This was Alexander Whitley's piece many years ago. I collaborate with dancers, I collaborate with machines, I build interactive systems, exploring meaningful human control. I create visual instruments that augment our capacity for creative expression, immersive environments that respond to human presence, computational systems that allow and foster expressive human-machine interaction. I work with emerging technologies, thinking of these technologies as extensions of our body, as extensions of our mind, thinking about their impact on us as individuals, how we behave and express ourselves, and ultimately their impact on culture, ethics, law, tradition, ritual, and religion. I do think a lot about ritual and religion, not necessarily the well-established rituals, religions, or forms of spirituality, but rather their new, evolved incarnations, new rituals, new spiritual frameworks, new forms of worship. And what I'm really fascinated by is we, who are biologically identical to what we were 200,000 years ago, how do we cope and adapt throughout the crazy technological developments that we've lived through? I think of rituals as algorithms for the body and mind that transform our mental and emotional state to otherwise unattainable modes of being. And finally, I think a lot about the mind, the human mind, non-human minds, biological minds, synthetic minds, distributed minds, intelligence in humans, intelligence in nature, intelligence in machines. I'm really interested in the technologies and the politics of the technologies. and where AI as a concept came from, how these technologies have manifested today in our lives, driven primarily by market forces, and the social and cultural implications of the path that they're on. But I'm equally fascinated by a more speculative metaphysics of AI as reflections, or rather refractions, of ourselves, as echoes on how we perceive the world, how we make meaning, as a computational lens on trying to understand ourselves, the nature of the mind, and perhaps eventually even consciousness.
Hi, I'm Katie Peyton Hofstadter, and I'm an artist, writer, and curator, exploring the dynamics between our bodies and technology, between knowing and feeling, between knowledge and embodiment. I'm interested in how emerging technologies, including AI and the living technosphere, affect culture. Ancient history here. I was trained in drawing, painting, sculpture, dance, and writing. This piece is about silence. It used the technology of the scroll, which fits every space and no space and always keeps something hidden. I worked in charcoal and industrial plastics, something that's also in all of our bodies and even crossing the blood-brain barrier into our minds. This work combined drawings and sculptures and video and performance and dance and poetry. My work is slushy. It moves across disciplines and involves lots of collaboration. I like to bring ideas and people together and see what sparks. So this is at Dumbo Sky, a space that was run by the poet Rachel Eliza Griffiths, but I was also basically running my New York studio as a collaborative space at the time. It was called Peanut Underground after my dog. For the past 10 years, I've been making work at the intersection of art and emerging technology. I first began exploring these themes through a series of interviews, essays, and curatorial projects, as well as public art and education. I'm interested in how contemporary artists, dancers, poets, creative technologists are exploring, stress testing, and embodying emerging tools, and how this in turn affects culture. The themes raised by emerging technologies are a way for me to explore how we live in the present, as well as the near future. I also taught arts writing, curating, and public programming for the arts at the New School and FIT, and in that time, I also created a high school program called Future Art Models for Apex Art, where young creatives would design alternative professional models for the future they wanted to live in. And we learned a lot, but one thing that really stood out was that in nearly every school we visited, and I visited schools all over the country in person and remotely, young people were so frustrated by the story of the solo genius, the lone great artist. And across the board, they wanted to see models that were compassionate, collaborative, and even collective, while maintaining their own authentic voice. They wanted to work in a world that rewarded those values. And I like to bring this up in spaces like Jacob's Pillow, where I see these values being reflected forward, which really inspires me and makes me feel hopeful. And I also want to tie this in advance to the values of dance as a biotechnology for connection to each other and to the planet, which we'll underline again in our discussion of Superradiance. I've also co-founded several international public art campaigns. I was the co-creator of the Climate Clock Monument to Planetary Time and a global call to act in time on the climate crisis. Monuments tell us what we value as a culture. They also tell us whose voices matter. In 2020, I co-founded the Aurora Network with the XR Extended Reality Ensemble, and it brought together over 70 artists creating new monuments in augmented reality to diverse female and gender-expansive scientists, artists, activists, and historic leaders in public spaces. My collaborators and I created this program during the pandemic as an outdoor exhibition in all 5 boroughs of New York, as a guided walking tour, and as an educational network. But we quickly realized it became a multi-continent database of feminist artists of all genders who have created and are interested in public art. We're currently active in New York, Munich, Rome, and Venice. And this funny thing happened when we were first looking at the monumentscape of New York and saying, okay, there are 150 public monuments in New York, and only 8 are to women. And I was just like, how many horses are there? And there are 11. So, in fact, going by our public art, you would barely think that any named women or people of color lived in the city at all, and maybe that we were under military occupation. In 2021, I wrote a long-form essay called Bodies on the Blockchain about artists who are logging biological, genetic, and behavioral information on a digital ledger to invoke a conversation about body sovereignty in our techno-present. I also curated a series of exhibitions building on this same premise. Technology is moving into our bodies, and our bodies are moving into technology. The stakes are high. Will we double our health spans or create a stratified techno-dystopian Gilead? The presentations included virtual exhibitions on touchscreens and head-mounted displays, as well as sculptures and a series of activations, and performance lectures and participatory rituals and spells. The question running through all of this is a question of embodiment. Knowledge about the magnitude of the problems we are facing alone does not create the mindset to solve them. What does? This leads me into collaboration with Memo and the creation of Superradiance. Now we'd like to take you into our world and discuss the themes, motivations, and process behind Superradiance, a multi-screen video and sound installation and film that invites the viewer to extend their bodily perception beyond the skin and into the living environment. We realize there may be a preconception with artists working with AI that they simply say,
"Computer, make me a beautiful art. Very detailed, magical."
So we're going to take you through our process, which combines poetry, dance, insights from neuroscience, woven together with code, simulations, and generative AI. We are deeply embedded within complex assemblages of life. It's one thing to intellectually know this, but how can we feel it in our bodies?
We drew upon this cognitive phenomenon of embodied simulation, which is the idea that when you observe someone moving, or even watching some fabric blow in the wind, we feel that movement in our body. Our neurons simulate us performing that movement to the extent where we can feel it. As one of the researchers behind this theory, Vittorio Galese, says, the objectual other becomes another self.
As I've mentioned, dance is one of our earliest biotechnologies. Through ritual and ecstatic dance, we even dance to experience union with the universe directly. So we placed a dance at the heart of this piece to drive the composition and movements. But first, we begin with another ancient psychotechnology, poetry.
Poetry is at the heart of this piece as well. So after months of research, we began to draft the initial outline of the narrative during a residency at Stochastic Labs up in Berkeley. And most mornings, this began in the woods with long forest meditations and walks. We began with the premise of a living earth, holding space for intelligence both within the self, but also distributed across the planet.
I am a body. I'm also a multitude of smaller living bodies. I am a body. I'm also part of a greater living body, a planetary body. In developing the narrative, which would be an interplay between language, choreography, and imagery, we explored how to represent this multitude of selves.
We knew we wanted the piece to reconnect us spiritually to this body, to help us understand that what exists within the perceived boundaries of the skin is only part of the story. So we laid out our beats and ideas alongside imagery and choreographic notes on a table and wove this all together into the final poem. Finally, we used this poem as the backbone, both conceptually and rhythmically, for what would become the dance.
The choreography needed to work on multiple levels. We wanted to communicate connection and gratitude to the earth, like a ritual celebrating awe, reverence, and blessing. From the earth to the sky, dissolving the boundaries of the body, seeping into the environment.
It also needed to create, on a practical level, evolving compositions in space such that we could use the body's form and movement as a foundation to create these metamorphosing life forms embedded in animate environments, unfurling into fungi, transitioning into trees, reaching to the sky and underwater kelp forests, and back to a living, breathing woodland.
We used the energy of a pirouette to drive waves that blossom into feathery hydroids, churn into ocean foam, spew the surf on a sandy beach, and throw the desert dust into the sky.
We wanted to really blend the body into the environment to get rid of any boundaries operating beyond these perceived boundaries of the skin. So we used the dancer's movements to add vector fluid simulation with particles and force fields, and this would provide the foundation which would then go on in this real-time simulation environment, processes the video of the dancer to create multiple video layers, which would then go into another piece of software that we created that would then augment all of this. We actually have a relatively in-depth making of video online that you can watch to see more of this.
Yes, so you can find the full making of video at superradiance.net, and we really don't want our process to be mysterious at all, so you can see exactly what we did to create this. But now we'd like to conclude with a short glimpse into the future. While Superradiance establishes the self as relational and extends our body into the living environment, Cosmosapience extends our mind into the intelligent universe and explores our place in the evolving landscape of minds.
It positions computation as a fundamental property of nature and intelligence as a collaboration with the universe. All intelligence is collective.
We again will feature dance as the backbone of the piece, revealing underlying structures of the universe across multiple scales of space and time, from microbes to galaxies, from the soil to the superorganism. All intelligence is a collaboration. So that's a very brief overview of where we are now, and this is a project we're looking to develop in the near future, so if these ideas are exciting to you, please feel free to come and talk to us about them, and thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a hot 4.5 minutes, I think, for questions. And so I guess I've been tracking roughly whenever the audience has a deeply visceral and audible response to things. And one of those happened during your comments when you were talking about needing to resist the solo genius myth, and everybody in here was like, ugh, like at the same time. And so I wonder if you can maybe talk a little bit about like what it means to resist that, and maybe also that can be juxtaposed with your just comments at the end, which is like, all intelligence is collaborative. I wonder how you balance those bars.
I think everyone has talked tonight. Actually, I've been super inspired to hear people talking about the way that they're working in collaboration, and I think we're all on the same page here. How much damage has been done by this myth that the solo genius rises out of no community, out of no help, out of no history. It's insane. And I love that even grade school students are looking at this and they're saying, this is bullshit.
Oh, you can totally use the swear word here, that's fine.
Okay.
Because it is.
Yeah, so it's really inspiring to be here celebrating what we find a lot of joy in too. Like that's the other side of it, is recognizing that working collaboratively is joy. This solo genius myth is it's hard and limiting. Yeah, I'd imagine you'd like to add.
I mean, that sums it up quite well. I don't know if I can add much to that, so I'll say, yeah, I fully agree. I mean, I will say this, on one hand, metaphorically, what we were talking about also in Superradiance and Cosmos, in Superradiance and Cosmos Sapiens, it's quite a mouthful, is that even I am, trillions of cells. Like, even I, as an entity, that when I think of myself as an entity, I'm actually trillions of cells, and those trillions of cells somehow come together to create me. This is really profound. I don't think we think about this enough times on how profound that is. And so what happens when millions of humans come together? We have, society, we have culture, and we shouldn't forget about that. And yeah, collaboration can be very joyful, I'll say.
Should I mention? I'll say one more thing to tie this into the collaborative nature of intelligence in Cosmos Sapiens. We use two quick examples. One is the example of the nautilus, which is the cephalopod with the shell in the Fibonacci sequence. The DNA of that animal just tells it to, when it runs out of space, move forward, secrete calcium carbonate, and seal off the old chamber. It doesn't tell it to make that shape. It works in collaboration with the chemistry of the ocean, with the laws of, call it the laws of the universe, the laws of nature, the laws of physics, fluid dynamics, pressure, and all of these forces working together, the entire ocean creates this shape. That animal in a vacuum would never create that shape. And as humans, we think we're different. We think, we can plan for the future. We have visions in our heads of what the future should be. We make plans. We know what we're doing, right, individually. But you look at the superorganism, the larger human communities, and no one person has created these. No one could create them. No one person can change them. And so in this way, we're also working in collaboration with our environment, in collaboration with chemistry, with the laws of the universe, call them the laws of physics. And so we work in the same way. And so we really want to emphasize this idea that all intelligence really is collaborative. And if we can live in that space, is this a consciousness change that we can use to move forward?
Honestly, you had me at all intelligence is collaborative. I don't know how we follow that up. Honestly, with like 20 seconds to spare, I think we should end there. Please give a round of applause, Memo and Katie. Freaking awesome. So just a quick bit of housekeeping. I want to observe we are now at the close of our 4 artist conversations, but the show does not stop here. There is so much more to see here at Jacob's Pillow. But I also want to just, again, kind of underline the spirit of how we began this morning, which is in a sense of intention and emergent community. So, all of the artists, all of the excellent nerds that have presented today, or that you are in relation to right now, all have practices that are audacious and bonkers and collaborative and interdisciplinary and ready for you to also be present and in relation to them. So I would invite you to continue being in relation, to continue this conversation, and also, if you wouldn't mind joining me again to applaud our phenomenal production team. We got the pillow talking about. Yes. Okay. Yes. Can we please also? We had a quick point of order. I will share that in just a moment. Can you please also give a round of applause for our think tank members and our curator team, the people who made this possible, who introduced us to all these folks. Yes. And finally, once and again, to the inimitable Pam Tadji, who made this all possible. Give it up. So quick point of order, our next big shenanigan is at 4. We have a pillow talk at 4, followed by all sorts of other performances and shenanigans. Am I getting this right? I'm generalizing a bit.
Performative pillow talk in the new theater.
And a performative pillow talk in the new theater. Doesn't get much better than that. Y'all have been an excellent audience. Thank you again so much for your kickassery. Let's ruckus. Thanks.